This is your energy update for February 2022. The controller's narrative is collapsing, but we still need to be prepared for what is to come. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. In February, we are going to start to see a massively expanding awakening happening on this planet. The people of Earth are finally going to realize on a collective basis that we are truly in a planetary war for our lives, our souls, and our very human existence. So on the one hand, I think February is going to be a very dynamic month, but it's also going to be a somewhat unpredictable month at the same time. I also get a sense of an energy of fragmentation. And I think in February, we are going to have an amazing opportunity, if we stay awake, if we stay aware, to really pull ourselves together on many, many levels. So let me talk first about this energy of fragmentation when it comes to the controllers. And fragmentation within the controllers' reality is a very good thing for all the rest of us. Right now, their narrative is collapsing on so many levels. And I suspect that internally, their plans are very much in a state of disarray. I think they're finally realizing that they underestimated the fact that it's not as easy as they thought to control 8 billion people on a planet-wide scale. Fortunately, a large percentage of humanity is experiencing their survival instincts finally kicking in a big way, and they are fighting back. And see, this is really bad for the controllers because as long as they have to keep fighting humanity, they cannot fully enact their larger planetary agenda. I think these guys got really overconfident. They figured that they could keep telling any number of lies and keep changing their story, and we would just continue to buy all of it. They were counting on their use of weaponized fear being able to overcome humanity's natural love for life. But it's not working so well right now. So I think that the awakening is spreading so far and wide right now that the controllers are unable to stop it. So this is what I mean when I say that their plans are becoming increasingly fragmented. They like to put on a powerful public face like they're completely in control, but I really think there's a big energy of fragmentation among them right now. But here's the thing. These guys tend to do stupid things when they feel like they're losing control. So we do want to be mindful of that. Like I always say, they have no idea how to integrate with actual living things. All they know is suppression, control, and fear. The truth is they really are extremely unevolved. So we want to be sure to stay grounded and centered in the event that they have any other surprises in store for the month of February. But I think for them that February is going to be more of a month of them trying to figure out where they are in their currently messed up plans and trying to figure out what they want to do next. I think that what they've tried to do in the past 2 years will continue, but it will not be as effective because it's going to manifest in very fragmented ways. Because now they've lost so much trust, and more people are no longer willing to live as their unconscious sheep. Now, there's also an additional factor of fragmentation when it comes to ourselves that I think it would be very wise for us to deal with and be mindful of so that we can coalesce, collect our energy, and become much more empowered and unified within ourselves and on so many other levels. It has to do with the fact that the controllers have tried to divide all of us in so many ridiculous ways. And unfortunately, far too many people have bought into this propaganda. So this is something I really want to talk about. I think they have been so effective at dividing us that we are finding it more and more difficult to relate to each other as unique individuals with our own unique thoughts. And this is the thing that I think we really need to consider in the month of February. We are being trained to first identify ourselves as being members of various camps or groups that have been labeled primarily by the controllers. For example, you either want to cover your face or you don't. You either want everyone on Earth to get this sharp thing, the thing that shall not be named, or you don't really care whether people get it or not. You are either for one political position or another. You are either woke or you're not. And on it goes. And once the controllers have succeeded in dividing us in these ways, they pit one group against the other using anger and fear. Because see, they're well aware of the principle of divide and conquer, and it works like a charm, doesn't it? So many people have gotten to the point of the first thing they want to know about a person is, what group are you associated with? What thought matrix are you a part of? That's how they know if they can relate to you or not. That's how they know instantly if they like you or not. See, in this case, it no longer has anything to do with who you are as an individual, creative, free-thinking being. In many cases, that has become largely irrelevant. So unfortunately, the controllers have done a great job of getting us to devolve into a state of primitive tribal warfare. You even see this in the spiritual community. It's all about who's right and who's wrong, who's good and who's bad, who's compromised and who isn't. Whatever happened to just letting people be who they are and just learning from whomever it is that you tend to relate to? I mean, we don't have to believe something if we don't want to. We don't have to listen to someone if we don't agree with them. We're always free to go elsewhere. I mean, seriously, it's not the end of the world if someone else thinks differently. Now, this consciousness of tribalism is exactly why religions have such a bloody history of war and of killing the unbelievers. It's the same mindset. And sometimes it seems like the modern day spiritual version of religious wars manifests as character assassination, online attacks, and the politics of personal destruction. I mean, how wonderful is that not? I remember how spirituality and the New Age were before the internet. This kind of extreme tribalism just didn't really happen. It was a much more benign environment. It was more peaceful, it was more relaxed, and it could even be inspiring. People just kind of tended to gravitate toward those people they resonated with. If you didn't believe what someone was saying, you didn't feel a personal need to attack and destroy them. You might complain about it, but you probably were more inclined to just move on to someone or something else. There wasn't all of this spiritually oriented tribal drama. You know, so many times I truly long for those much more peaceful days. Now, let me explain why it's so important for us to restore our individual sovereignty, respect and honor ourselves and each other as sovereign individuals, as unique people with our own unique thoughts. The reason this is so important is because that's where you get true synergy, the kind of synergy that generates powerful energy. It's kind of ironic in a way, because actually, in that individual uniqueness and sovereignty and the ability to think for oneself, and there you have the free-flowing exchange of ideas and awareness of each other, respect and honoring each other, you actually can have a very powerful impact when it comes to a unified humanity that exists in a far more aligned natural state. So I think that February will be a great month to step back and notice where this energy of division and fragmentation has permeated our personal lives. Our natural human state is one of wholeness and connectedness. We need to be whole within ourselves and connected to each other. And we have been so manipulated by the controllers to divorce ourselves from this natural state of being. See, here's the thing we want to pay attention to. Too much of our life experience has been pinned to the controller's insanity and outright lies. So I encourage you in the month of February to pay attention to this groupthink mentality on all levels. We need to honor other human beings as sovereign entities who may not think the way that we do. And although this may be very difficult in today's world, because so many people want to identify themselves as part of a group, we at least need to honor ourselves in this way. We need to honor ourselves in this way so that we are free to evolve in ways that are meaningful and unique to each one of us. Because we are each a unique individual with our own different experiences. We are creators. We're not part of some herd. We're not cattle. Now, there's something else that the controllers do to prevent us from doing the inner work and learning to evolve at a much higher, more conscious level, is to constantly shriek every day through the media about how absolutely dire everything is. I mean, they sound like a bunch of crazy hyenas. They want to keep us distracted with fear. They want to keep us in a highly reactive state, which also happens to be a very unconscious state. If they can convince you through all forms of media that there are countless collective emergencies in our lives that we must deal with right now, they can keep us in a state of ongoing confusion and paralysis. You know, it's funny, this reminds me of how a pack of coyotes will trap a rabbit. They surround the rabbit with terrifying shrieks from all directions. And I mean, it's pretty terrifying when you hear it. The poor rabbit ends up in a state of total panic and confusion. Every which way it turns, it's facing death. And eventually the coyotes are able to close in and devour the rabbit. This is exactly what the media does to us. No matter which way we turn, we are facing something terrible and deadly. And then we end up confused and panicked just like the rabbit. Then we do stupid things and we make bad decisions. Remember the great toilet paper panic of 2020? And look what we as a humanity have reduced ourselves to over the past 2 years. It's just ridiculous. So the media will always act like a pack of shrieking coyotes. They want us perpetually surrounded by their crazed, terrifying rhetoric. They hit us from every direction. Mainstream media, alternative media, and of course, social media. So I think if you understand my coyote example, you will find it much easier to keep all of this in perspective. So overall, we need to remember that this is a war. It's clear now that this is a war on a planetary level. The controllers are probably trying to regroup and figure out what to do next. Therefore, this is our golden opportunity to heal the disaster of our own fragmentation as a result of what has gone on in the past 2 years. We can actually look at this as a matter of health in the highest, truest sense of the word. True health for a human being means that every aspect of ourselves exists in beautiful harmony with our own natural human design. When in this state, we are whole, we are in peace. Our energy flows and radiates outwards in a way that is unimpeded by fear. It is from this place that we can live an empowered, naturally evolving life. So I think that February is a very good time for inner work and an overall focus on healing ourselves and our lives. So just remember that healing in this sense refers to restoring wholeness. It refers to healing any inner divisions where we have ceased to trust ourselves and instead have turned that trust over to forces or groups who may not have our best interests in mind. This would especially refer to groups whose main motivation is survival of their own beliefs. So here is the best way to approach this. Begin by deciding that you are going to reset your life and your consciousness. Start with a clean slate. Allow yourself to let go of any preconceived ideas that aren't working for you. You have the power to free yourself from so much stress that you don't need to carry just by making this simple decision. Part of this process of resetting involves some inner reflection about things and ideas that you are carrying that just aren't going anywhere. Places in your consciousness where you just feel stuck. So ask yourself a hypothetical question. What if I were to let go of all of this? What would that feel like? If you sense that you would feel free, if you sense that some form of heaviness would be lifted off of you, then the next thing to do is to hold that space so you can contemplate what you might do differently. What new, fresh ideas can you allow yourself to contemplate instead? See, if you are holding on to things that are causing you to feel fragmented and disconnected from your natural state of peace and happiness, then these are the things that you want to consider releasing, changing, and transmuting. Give yourself a chance to feel sovereign again. Welcome yourself back as a whole human being who is a unique, free-thinking individual. Feel the relief of this simple act of acknowledgement and self-acceptance. This will make it so much easier to clear out all of the unnecessary garbage that may have entered your consciousness from the media, the internet, and all forms of social media. I think the best way to say this is that it's as simple as just getting to know yourself again. See, what really causes us to feel fragmented and out of sorts is when we give away priceless parts of ourselves to other people's agendas. The more that we do this, the less we feel whole. And the biggest problem is that we are then left with trying to process and integrate those agendas within ourselves. And that can actually cause a lot of stress and a lot of confusion. And when we give away these various parts of ourselves to different groups that we have assigned ourselves to, it's very easy to get drawn into tribal battles with the opposing groups. And that will really drain your energy. So February could very well be the month when many of us say we've had enough on so many different levels. We've had enough of the stress, the fear, the confusion, and the anger. We've had enough of attacking one another and being attacked. I really think that a better path is to focus on restoring some inner peace. So I hope that you will give yourself that gift in the month of February 2022. I encourage you to take a break from all of this insanity and focus on restoring whatever it is that means the most to you. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you feel could use a break from all of this craziness. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here every week with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you loads of love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.